Abraham's story in Genesis 22 is a powerful testament to his unwavering faith in God's promises and the incredible test he faced. In this narrative, we see a profound example of trust and obedience, even in the face of a seemingly impossible request from God. God had previously promised Abraham that he would become the father of many nations and that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars in the sky. Genesis 15:5. Abraham and his wife Sarah had waited for years for this promise to be fulfilled, and finally, in their old age, they were blessed with a son named Isaac, the child of promise. It is precisely at this moment of fulfillment that God presents Abraham with the ultimate test of faith. In Genesis 22:1-2, we read, "After these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, 'Abraham.' And he said, 'Here I am.' He said, 'Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you.'" This command seems deeply troubling and contradictory to God's earlier promise. How could God ask Abraham to sacrifice his own beloved son, the one through whom the promise of countless descendants would be fulfilled? However, despite the emotional turmoil and apparent conflict, Abraham's response is an extraordinary display of faith and obedience. He rises early the next morning, takes Isaac, and sets out to carry out God's command. Along the journey, Isaac innocently asks where the sacrificial lamb is, and Abraham replies with deep faith, saying, "God will provide for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son." Genesis 22:8. As they reach the place of sacrifice, Abraham prepares the altar, bound his son Isaac, and raises the knife to obey God's command. At this critical moment, an angel of the Lord intervenes and stops Abraham. God provided a ram caught in a thicket nearby to be sacrificed instead, fulfilling Abraham's earlier statement to Isaac. Abraham's faith in God's promise was so steadfast that he believed even if Isaac were to be sacrificed, God could still bring him back to life to fulfill his word. Hebrews 11:17-19. His faith was firmly rooted in the character and faithfulness of God. This profound act of faith is a reminder of the sacrifices and trust required of us as believers. Abraham's obedience demonstrated that true faith involves surrendering our most cherished possessions and desires to God's will, even when we don't fully understand His plan. It also reveals that God's ultimate purpose often surpasses our immediate understanding and emotions. In the end, God reaffirms His promise to Abraham, blessing him and reiterating that through his descendants, all nations of the earth would be blessed. Genesis 22:15-18. Abraham's remarkable faith continues to be an inspiring example for people of faith throughout the generations. It teaches us that God is worthy of our complete trust, even in the most challenging circumstances, and that His promises will ultimately be fulfilled in ways that are far beyond our human comprehension.